There is no sign of a larger hantavirus outbreak after the evacuation of the last passengers from a disease-stricken cruise ship, the head of the UN Health Agency has said. But the World Health Organization's chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus warned the situation could change and there could still be more confirmed virus cases. And Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni, 81, has been sworn in for a record 7th consecutive term following his landslide victory in disputed elections in January, extending his tenure as one of Africa's longest-serving rulers. Heavy security, including armored tanks, were deployed in the capital, Kampala, ahead of the inauguration in what police said were measures intended to maintain public order.
That Amazon Ring, facing a surge in customer support calls during last year's season, evaluated more than 40 AI voice vendors before choosing startup Vapi to handle its inbound phone traffic. Today, Ring routes 100% of its inbound calls through Vapi's platform. That deployment helped Vapi raise a $50 million Series B led by Peak 15 partners at a valuation of around $500 million after investment, according to a person familiar with the matter.
And Daniel Stenberg said Anthropic's Mythos bug hunting model found only one confirmed low-severity vulnerability in SURL after scanning the project's codebase. In a blog post, Stenberg said the results did not support the strong marketing around the AI model. He said he saw no evidence that Mythos identified issues at a higher or more advanced level than existing AI code analysis tools. Stenberg described the rollout around Mythos as an amazingly successful marketing stunt.
That Google said it has seen the first evidence of cyber criminals using AI to create a zero-day vulnerability. Politico reported. Google reported the findings to the unnamed company affected by the flaw before releasing its report. The company later issued a patch to fix the issue. That the Sindh government has released full funding for the long-delayed Munawar Chowrangi underpass project in Karachi as authorities push to complete the infrastructure scheme by June 30. Karachi Mayor Mortaza Wahab announced that the entire amount required for the project has now been released to the Karachi Development Authority, KDA, to ensure completion of the underpass and opening for traffic before the deadline.
And Punjab Senior Minister Mariam Aurangzeb announced that 1,600 kilometres of railway tracks across Punjab will be modernised under a major railway upgradation project aimed at improving connectivity and transport infrastructure in the province. She said more than 80 million citizens are expected to benefit from the initiative. And high-profile drug dealer Anmol, aka Pinky, was brought to a court in Karachi without handcuffs, with reports suggesting she was drawing escorted in what appeared to be a protocol-like manner. According to reports, the investigating officer walked behind the suspect and appeared to guide her way as she entered the courtroom with visible confidence. The court appearance quickly became a talking point, and with questions being raised over the treatment given to an accused facing serious drug trafficking allegations. And Prime Minister Keir Starmer defied calls to resign on Tuesday, telling ministers he would get on with governing, despite a destabilising 48 hours of growing calls to set out a timetable for his departure after a drubbing in local elections. And at a meeting of his cabinet, Starmer, in the top job for less than 2 years, repeated that, while he took responsibility for one of his Labour Party's worst election defeats, there had been no official move to trigger a leadership contest. And 4 ministers expressed their support for him. And while macroeconomic stability improved in the first half of fiscal year 2026, the war in the Middle East poses risks to the economic outlook amid heightened uncertainty, the State Bank of Pakistan, SBP, said on Tuesday. And the SBP released its half-year report 2025-26, the state of Pakistan's economy on Tuesday, and showing that Pakistan's macroeconomic stability strengthened in the first half of the fiscal year despite headwinds from uncertainty regarding global trade and domestic floods. And pace bowler Nahid Rana claimed 5 wickets as Bangladesh trumped Pakistan by 104 runs in a rain-hit first test on Tuesday after a thrilling 5th day of batting collapses. Chasing 268 for victory in Dhaka, Pakistan were 119-3 before they fell to 163 all out in the final session, with debutant Abdullah Fazal scoring a valiant 66. And the company behind the popular Canvas software, which was hacked last week, causing major disruption at thousands of universities and colleges, has paid the hackers not to publish stolen data online. The cyber attack affected an estimated 9,000 institutions in the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK, with exams disrupted after the Canvas service went down. And Ukrainian authorities on Monday named President Volodymyr Zelensky's powerful former chief of staff as a suspect in a major corruption probe, a move likely to pile pressure on the president's office at a sensitive moment in the war with Russia. Kyiv's political class was rocked by a wide-ranging investigation last year that had fueled public anger and prompted the ex-top advisor and Zelensky's right-hand man, Andriy Yermak, to resign.
That. Lionel Messi's participation in the FIFA World Cup has been the subject of fan queries for the past few months, but his inclusion in Argentina's preliminary squad for the tournament may have put those concerns to rest. The global football superstar was among the 55 players named by Lionel Scaloni in his initial World Cup roster on Monday, but the 38-year-old has yet to fully confirm his availability as Argentina look to defend their title.
And an explosion in a busy market in northwestern Pakistan has killed at least 9 people and wounded 30, according to emergency workers and a medical official. The blast on Tuesday was caused by a bomb-laden rickshaw in Pakistan's town of Sarai Naurang in Lakhi Marwat district, a region close to the border with Afghanistan, said police. 2 traffic police and a woman are among those killed, according to local police chief Azmat Ullah. And at least 372 Afghan civilians were killed and 397 injured as a result of cross-border violence between Taliban forces and the Pakistani military. In the first 3 months of 2026, the United Nations has reported, and with more than half the deaths attributed to air raids on a drug rehabilitation facility in Kabul, the UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, UNAMA, which monitors civilian casualties in Afghanistan, said its report, and released on Tuesday, was based on checks with 3 different independent sources. The latest quarterly figure, which is higher than the casualties recorded for the period by UAMA since 2011, included 13 women and 46 children, 31 boys and 16 girls, and 313 men.
That the Pakistan Sports Board, PSB, has launched the National Talent Identification and Verification System, NTIVS, a digital and merit-based platform aimed at identifying young athletes for national-level opportunities. The initiative has been introduced to address a major gap in Pakistan's sports system, where many talented athletes often depend on personal connections, informal channels, or limited exposure to get noticed. That badminton coaches and physical education teachers from across Pakistan received first ever machine-based training during a seminar organized by Razi Sports Academy at Shalimar Club. Around 40 male and female participants were trained through a shuttle feeding machine, introducing them to advanced coaching methods and modern badminton training techniques aimed at improving coaching standards in the country. That the Pakistan Rugby Union, PRU, on Monday announced a 10-member team for the inaugural Central South Asian Sevens Rugby Championship, scheduled to take place in Tashkent on May 16-17. The squad includes Amir Shahzad, Anjum Sajjad, Mohsin Raza, Mohammad Achib Siddiqui, Abbas Bangash, Mohammad Haroon, Faik Shahzad, Mohammad Afzal, Tukir Ali, and Mohammad Irfan.
And a Georgia data center developed by Quality Technology Services used more than 29 million gallons of unaccounted for water through 2 connections before Fayette County officials discovered the issue. Politico reported the issue came to light after residents complained about low water pressure and the county utility reviewed the data center's water use. And the federal government has announced the establishment of 3 Asan Khidmat Markaz in the regions of Gilgit-Baltistan and Azad Kashmir. The new centres will offer a range of essential government services under one roof, making it easier for residents to access public services without the hassle of visiting multiple offices. The centers are part of the federal government's ongoing efforts to improve governance and streamline the delivery of services to the public. And Islamabad. Kuwait agreed on Tuesday to explore new opportunities around building strategic storage in Pakistan's petroleum sector, a statement by the Petroleum Division said, adding that the initiative could result in mutual benefit for both sides. The assurance came during a meeting between Petroleum Minister Ali Pervez Malik and Kuwait's ambassador to Pakistan, Nasar Abdul Rahman Jasser Al-Matayri, in Islamabad.
That the United Nations condemned on Tuesday the toll from escalating Israeli military operations and settler attacks in the occupied West Bank on children, with 70 Palestinian children killed since the start of 2025. Children are paying an intolerable price for escalating military operations and settler attacks across the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem. UN Children's Agency spokesman James Elder told reporters that after 34 episodes and a timeline sprawling over 2 decades and beyond, Pehel finally wrapped up 2 weeks ago. Despite being an engaging drama, well written and directed, and with some wonderful performances, for the most part, that, at least, the last 2 episodes, unfortunately, were a letdown. Mainly because it felt as if the writer and director glanced at the clock, panicked and hit fast forward on the last 2 episodes. For the uninitiated, the drama centers around Ziba, who is stuck in a toxic marriage for over 20 years and has 4 children. How 2 people who can't stand each other end up having 4 kids is a whole other drama for another day. The early episodes are set in the 80s, if not the 90s, before we're suddenly brought to the present, where the kids are all grown up.
And Japanese snack giant Calbee says it will temporarily switch to black and white packaging for some of its best-known products, as supplies of an ingredient used in ink have been disrupted by the Iran war. The firm says new style packets for 14 of its products, including crisps and prawn crackers, will start to appear in shops in Japan from the 25th of May.
On a rainy, cold morning, Masuda makes her way to a hillside cemetery in northwest Kabul to visit the grave of her younger brother Mirwais. But she doesn't know exactly where he was buried after he was killed in a Pakistani airstrike 2 months ago. Netflix has been sued in Texas over claims it collects data belonging to children and adults in the U.S. state without their consent and uses addictive design to keep them hooked. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton accused the streaming giant of spying on citizens, saying it records and monetizes billions of pieces of information about how users behave on the platform, despite suggesting otherwise.
And Israel's military has killed 6 people in an air raid on a house in southern Lebanon, the latest violation of a United States brokered truce that has only ever existed on paper. The Israeli attack on Monday night targeted a house in the Kfar Dunin municipality, some 100 kilometers, 60 miles, south of Beirut, Lebanon's national news agency, NNA, said.
Fake online advertisements and social media groups are luring people in Jordan with promises of quick profits from cheap gold, with sellers disappearing. Once funds have been transferred or customers defrauded with counterfeit and substandard metals. Mohammed Nassar said he was quoted a price for gold lower than local market rates due to an online store, claiming it was exempt from manufacturing fees, government licensing costs or shop rents. Palestinian couples gathered for a collective wedding ceremony in Gaza, organized by a Turkish charity amid rubble and displacement. Brides and grooms described trying to reclaim moments of joy after months of Israeli attacks, destruction and life in tents.